and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, the channel that brings you your Rangers news every single day. Look, just a quick video this morning. We'll be back again later today with another proper video, but I'll be honest with you, found it hard to sit down this evening, well, whatever evening it was, I can't remember now, Thursday evening, and record this video after what was just an abject performance from Rangers, an appalling performance from Rangers. I've got to say the pressure is totally back on this man. We went through a spell where I think against Killie, against Spurs, against Celtic, we produced some pretty good football. But is that kind of a reflection of where we are up to at this moment in time as a team, that we kind of think that a draw in the Europa League, a loss on penalties in a cup final, and hammering a team that we should be hammering, is acceptable? And then, that's good enough. That little spell of good play, that's enough. That's okay. That's enough for the manager to kind of keep his job and kind of stay in his role as manager. And that's enough for us to kind of also hear and say, yeah, he's a brilliant manager. He's a fantastic manager. He should carry on as Rangers manager. I mean, do I need to remind you that that Gio lost his job when Rangers were 9 points behind, and Michael Beale lost his job when I think we were 7 or 8 points behind. Well, we're going into December, into the 29th of December, pretty much into the end of the year, and we're going to be 12 points behind Celtic. 12, yes, 12. That's 4 victories. We've lost already this season 4 games. We've lost a lot of games. Our away form is shockingly bad. We don't even average a goal a game away from home. And the football's been chronic, to say the least. Absolutely chronic. I think in terms of the starting lineup that he picked for the game, last night, I thought he got it wrong. He did get it wrong. I understand why he rotated the team. I get that. I think, in terms of centre-backs, we are genuinely really struggling in the centre-back position. We're short there. I don't think we did enough in the summer to strengthen those positions, or we're not willing to use perhaps some of the players that we should be using there. I thought up until obviously that mistake that he made at the end, Dujon Sterling had quite a good game until that, I don't know, brain fart that he had right at the end when he comes out with the ball whilst I think trying to put pressure on St Mirren and loses it, and they then go and they score. Unlucky on Big Leon, obviously coming off injured. I think what's kind of ironic though is that Big Leon on one leg is probably better than everyone else on 2 legs, which is quite worrying, really. Robin Propper, absolute bomb scare of a player. Genuinely looked appalling when he came on. If you go back and you watch their winning goal, he really does fail to track his man. I know it's not his man that scores, but he fails to track his man, who then lays it back to the guy to score. So it's kind of twofold. I thought the whole defence was fairly abject, and the errors that led to the goal and to the penalty, realistically, were down to just shocking defending. Again, appalling defending. And that's not just down to the defence, that's down to the whole team. I think I get why Raskin was left out. I understand why Raskin was left out. 1 booking away from missing the Old Firm game. I get why he was missed out. But the fact remains that without Nicholas Raskin, we looked appalling. We looked absolutely shocking. Raskin comes on and we look a different team. We did look better second half. I will give him that with Raskin there. I thought Raskin was the best player for me. Raskin, again, man of the match. Absolutely man of the match. Just looked quality. He distributed the ball brilliantly. He fought, he tackled, he was metronomic in that 6 role. He played ever so well, and I'm going to give him credit for that. Nicholas Raskin looked a class act. He is a class act. He's a quality player. I thought Hamza looked tired today. I don't think he looked up to it. I've heard some interesting stuff about Hamza coming out of this. People saying, if Dessers had missed those chances that Hamza's missed, that he'd be getting absolute shoeing. Well, yeah, of course he would, because Hamza's a kid who's hardly played any first-team football, who's still learning to play the game. Cyril Dessers is a 29-year-old veteran footballer who's learnt his trade and should be doing better. So I think to kind of say that it's unfair that Dessers gets slaughtered and Hamza doesn't is just an absolutely stupid statement. It's a ridiculous statement. It's a statement of someone who knows nothing about the game. This is a kid. And, if you were to treat him the way you treat that Dessers is treated, rightly so for the misses, then it would absolutely just end him. Hamza's a kid learning his trade. Dessers is not. So I think that's an utterly irrelevant point. But, in terms of this man, I think the pressure is certainly right back on him. Enough's enough. I mean, enough is enough. I mean, I've gone through some really weird kind of ups and downs on this guy. I backed him at the start of the season, and then during that abject spell, I kind of said that he had to go, and then kind of got behind him again after some decent football, and perhaps that was wrong. I think he just, to me, he doesn't know what he's doing. He genuinely has not got a clue. He genuinely cannot motivate this team, and look, as a fan base and as a group of supporters, we've got to kind of sit down and we've got to kind of ask a question: what is acceptable for Rangers now? Where are we as a club? Are we prepared to kind of be a team that plays well occasionally, but is fairly abject most of the time and is part of the pack? Are we prepared to accept that we are becoming Aberdeen but bigger, Hearts but bigger, and that Celtic win and Celtic become the champions every year, and we kind of just sit and watch them because we're no longer challenging them. We're no longer prepared to challenge them. And I think some fans, particularly perhaps the younger fans, are kind of accepting of that, and that's wrong. That's not what Rangers are. Now, I know that we've come back from 2012, we've come back from liquidation, we've come back from falling apart to rebuild. And, all that, something we're constantly reminded of by the other side of the city. But that's not an excuse. And that's not an acceptable excuse for being allowed to fall behind. Now, does the manager carry the sole blame for all this? No, he doesn't. The state this football club is in on the field is not just down to Phillipe Clement. It is partly down to Phillipe Clement. It is down to the players not putting the effort in, trying to coast in games where they really can't because they're not good enough to do that yet. One thing I will say about the other side of the city is they are good enough to kind of coast through games and then turn it on when they need to and turn it back off again because they can kind of get by on that. Our squad isn't good enough to do that. And the board carry a huge part of the blame. It was a sign I saw the other day, in the crowd, and it was that, you took your eye off the ball after 55, time for change. And I think it's right. It is time for change. It's time for change at the top with the manager. It's time for change with the board. It's time for the parks to go. It's time for this club to undergo a massive overhaul. Now, does that mean we write this season off? Yeah, the league's done. I'm sorry, but the league is over. They're going to win the league. They'll move to 120 trophies. And we'll get rubbed in our faces over and over again. And we're going to have to live with that because of the abject failure of Phillipe Clement as manager and the abject failure of this board and the abject failure of repeated recruitment strategies over a number of windows. That's why we're so far behind. Everyone has a part to play and a blame to take in this, the board, the recruitment strategy, and the present manager. Now, people can say that the present manager should get an excuse because of the fact that he's taken over a club that has no money. He's taken over a club that needs to undergo a rebuild. But by that same token, that any coach worth his salt would get enough out of a bunch of players to actually get by and make it slightly more competitive that he isn't doing in Scotland. He's failing appallingly badly. I'll be honest with you. I think that this is not a short-term thing. This is a long-term thing, and we're going to fall a long way behind them. We are, I think, standing in a situation where we are in danger of becoming Espanyol to their Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, well, not even Atletico Madrid, Getafe to their Real Madrid, 1860 Munich to their Bayern Munich, Leyton Orient to their Chelsea. We are in danger of becoming that. We are a club that needs to change. We're a club that needs to move forward. We're a club that needs a new board, that needs a new owner, that needs a new manager, that needs a new strategy, that needs to develop. And we need a revolution, not an evolution, and we're not getting it. I mean, make no mistake, that performance last night was utterly unacceptable. Utterly unacceptable. For a Rangers player to perform like that was utterly unacceptable. The only players that emerge as any credit from last night's game, Danilo, who has to start every game, in my opinion, now. Raskin, who has to start every game, in my opinion, now. Dujon Sterling, I thought, played well up until that mistake. Big Leon is excused because of the injury. I mean, we've got to talk about Jack Butland as well. I think his head's gone. I think he is in need of a break. I think he is perhaps not as fully focused on what he needs to be focused on. And Clement needs to make that change. Put Kelly in goal for the Motherwell game. I think that's a genuine, real need we need to do, because Butland has looked poor this season. Perhaps he needs a bit of a jerk, bit of a kick up the arse to sort himself out. But this club is not moving in the right direction. This club is falling badly behind. And that's down to not just the manager, but the players, the board, the recruitment strategy, a number of things. And some very bad recruitment as well. Look, guys, I don't know. I actually sat there last night and didn't know what to say, because of the fact that it felt like someone ripped my guts out. It really did, again. After all the hard work of starting to get the gap down, starting to come back, and I genuinely had an optimistic feeling inside. Go back and watch the videos where I actually thought we could catch them. But now I just feel crushed, betrayed. Perhaps that's what we've got to expect these days. Who knows? We are the people.